Hey everybody, it's Sandy and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health one topic at a time. So I have a product review for you guys today and it is the Shawmut Protex N95 cup style respirator. So just keep watching. You guys, so I'm really excited to be able to review another, particularly a cup style respirator. You know, a while ago I reviewed an Armbrust product, the Armbrust AA95. I'm going to link the video here. Now, no sooner did I get that video online that people said, oh, that's sold out. And I'm always on the lookout for a different kind. So for example, it seems like I have reviewed more than my fair share of the duckbill style respirators. That was the only cup style respirator I had had an opportunity to review. And what stands out to me is that I felt like the style is particularly good for larger faces. I've had lots of people contact me over the last couple years, first with masks and now with respirators, what would be good for a large face. So I reached out to Armbrust and I asked them, what's going on with the AA95? Because I don't even see it listed anymore on their product page. And they said that they are just awaiting for the N95 NIOSH approval. And then I'm sure it'll have a different name, not the AA95, but it'll be a something N95. So it looks like until they get that approval, they're not looking to sell any more of that product. But they were kind enough to send me a package of the Shawmut Protex N95. Now I'm just going to give my usual plug and thank you to the people at Armbrust because they have offered my viewers a coupon code for 20% off, and that is Sandy20. I'm going to put that here, and then I'm also going to have it down below in the description box. And let's talk about the supply of respirators both at Armbrust and at other places around the web. And as you guys know, there's a bit of a shortage. Some things are out of stock and they're hard to find right now. My recommendation is that if you find something you like, buy yourself a bit of a stock of that so that you have a cushion. And even if you want to try something else, you're sort of not waiting until you're just about out and your back's against the wall. As of this moment, when I'm recording this video, this is out of stock. I'm hoping that by the time I get the video up online, that they will be replenished again. And let's look at the prices on the Armbrust website. This Shawmut N95 respirator is a box of 20. And for a box of 20, you pay $49.95. Now with the 20% discount, that brings it to $39.95 or just about $2 per item. Now they also offer better price per item if you're interested in a very large quantity, which is 240 of them. So for 240 of them, it's normally $499.95. With the 20% discount, that brings it to just under $400, and that's about $1.67 per item. So when I first reviewed the 3M N95, that was around, and probably still is around, $4 an item. But no sooner did I do that than a lot of other respirators started to become available. And I've reviewed several of the duck style, like I had said. Those tend to be cheaper, and with our discount codes, you can get those for even about $1 or even less per item. And by the way, I did notice that on the Armbrust website, the ACI duckbill respirator, which I reviewed not too long ago, is still available. I'm going to link the video review right here. Yeah, so at around $2 an item, that does put these substantially higher than something like a duckbill, but this is a very different kind of make with this hard cup, this mold, and it's a more substantial kind of design, and I really think that at about $2, it's a pretty good deal. Now, I did look elsewhere, and for example, at the Shawmut website, you can find these same respirators, a box of 10 for $22, so that's over $2, maybe $2.25 per item. A free ship once you're going over $50, or $5.96 is what it came up if I were going to have bought one box of these. So still a better deal at Armbrust with the discount. The N95 mask project is another one. Some people have talked about that on my Facebook page. I like the N95 mask project. It's a nonprofit and the whole goal is to bring N95 respirators to people. I do feel compelled to check with individual manufacturers and just make sure that everything is legit. So the Shawmut is legitimately for sale on the N95 Mask Project website. A box of 20 comes out to be $2.10 a piece at $42 total. A box of 40 comes out to be $2.05 a piece, but in my experience, the shipping is very expensive on the N95 Mask Project website. So when I tried to put in a box of 20 in a cart and go through a simulation for checkout, it was reading like $15 to ship. So really the best option, if you can find it, is with our discount code at Armbrust. Now, if you go ahead and purchase these, one thing you're going to notice is that you'll see it says ML for medium large. So Shawmut also has begun making a small one of these. I have not had an opportunity to try that. Last I checked, that was not available on Armbrust's website. So if that's something you're interested in, you probably will have to go over to either the N95 Mass Project or to the manufacturer's website and purchase there. It's possible that Armbrust will bring that up as soon as they are restocked. Typically, when there's an option between like a medium, large, or a small, I've gone over this before. I have sort of a small face, particularly in this direction. My face is very narrow, but I'm sort of reviewing the cup size respirator with large size faces in mind. I just feel like there are so many of the options that I've already covered, like particularly the many duckbill styles that I think are particularly good for smaller faces. So when you open these up, this is, like I said, a box of 20. They're all in this one bag, so they're not individually wrapped. Now, I think on the Shawmut website, I read that you can get a 10-pack, and that is bagged where every 5 masks. So you have 2 5-packs inside that box. But in this box, it's just one 20-pack. Now, I've said before, one of the really nice things about reviewing a NIOSH approved N95 is that it's already stood up to the scrutiny and the testing, and it's not like back in the days when I was trying to find masks and respirators weren't available. Back at that time, I started with my own prerequisites like polypropylene, and then I had to sort of evaluate the filtration as best I could. This has stood up to the scrutiny of the NIOSH approval for an N95 respirator. One thing I have people ask me about a lot is whether things are latex free, and this happens to say on the manufacturer's website that it is latex and PVC free. Most of these items are now anyway. You see, like these kinds of straps, people often get worried because they're stretchy, but they're non-latex. Most medical equipment nowadays is non-latex. So the first thing I noticed is that this has one of these foam nose pieces. It's, as far as the density of the foam, I'm going to try to give you a look here and see if you can see just how springy it is and how forgiving it is. So you can see my finger leaves a dent and then the foam slowly comes back. And I would call it a medium density, but it is behaving sort of like a memory foam. And I think that's a really good thing because that gives it the opportunity to completely accommodate like concavity or any kinds of facial individual characteristics. Let me go ahead and put this on for you. It's particularly easy to put on a cup style respirator because unlike with the duckbill, you're not having to kind of open it. It's floppy. This is going to maintain its form no matter what I do. So make sure both the straps are here in front. Put it on. I actually like to conform the nose piece a little bit before I even get started. Bring the top strap up here. I always recommend putting the top strap quite high. You can always inch it down a little bit. I hope you can see that. But the higher, the more you get some upward force. And that's the difference between an N95, which requires a head strap, and something like a KF94 or a KN95, which is only using ear loops. So any pull is backwards, and that's been studied. That's not going to give you the same quality fit, and it can account for up to 11% leak. Okay, bottom strap. I tend to just leave it down here. I don't feel it tugging much, but with some of these cup style respirators like the AA95 that I reviewed, this was actually so big and loose on me that I crossed the 2 straps. You can do that, but I do find that this one, it's not snug, but it's definitely up against my skin. It's not slack either. All right, at that point you can start to conform. You know, one of the issues with a dome style respirator is I don't feel like I don't have the tactile sensation really to get in there like I do with a really thin, like a duckbill. So with the cup style, it's just more formed. On the other hand, it sort of pops out here. You can see how it folds. The fabric at the outside of the mask folds right here. So it's sort of got a curvature, and that forms the seal really, not only this particular foam on the inside part of the nose piece. Try to do a kind of a crude fit test here. I don't feel exhalant coming out. This is usually the difficult spot for me because I have this concavity under my eyes. All right, I had to go get my safety goggles. Of course, they've got some fingerprints in them because I can never seem to remember to wash these. Yeah, I'm fogging a bit over here. So let me see. You know, I heard recently there was a video on another channel. The creator's purpose in this video was to say that fog is not always indicative of leak. And that is true. Sometimes fog is a result of temperature change where warm air hits cold air and causes some condensation. And that's particularly true, obviously, if you're going outside in an environment that's very cold from the inside, room temperature. It's also true if the temperature in the room is quite cold. So you might notice that maybe this didn't fog for you in the summer and now it's cold. Maybe the room temperature wherever you are is a little bit colder and you see some fog at the end. So the way he described it is that fogging at the end of exhalation is just because of air rising. Air does go through the mask. We breathe through the mask, respirator, and any hot air that rises, hot will rise, is going to create some condensation from the temperature change of something like glasses that are cooler up on top. But I'm going to take an issue with two things. One is I don't know that that's always the very end of the exhalation. So hot air will rise. It'll rise at any time during the exhalation, even though it does take a second, a fraction of a second. Second of all, the demo that he gave when he was trying to show what happens with leak is he took a very deep breath and forcibly pushed out. So that's always going to create leak. So you're always going to see fog for the entire time. But it didn't really allow you to see the difference, for example, in having a mask that's poorly fitted that leaks just from normal breathing. Because obviously if we go and breathe out really hard, we can disrupt a fit on many masks. Not all, but many. It's a lot easier to do that than if you're breathing normally. And then finally, it leaves a little bit of guesswork to say, as long as it's at the end, then we're not worried that it's leak. Where's the end? Where's the middle? You know, I don't know. I would prefer not to have the fogging there if I can avoid it. Now, sometimes I know, for example, with a Ready mask that has an adhesive all the way around and you can absolutely feel the tiniest bit of leak. And depending, I find with the temperature in the room, if I get a little bit of fog, then I know with that one, that's not leaking. You know, that's the hot air. It's not particulate leaking. It's air leaking. Air is supposed to go through these masks. So it's a little bit nuanced, and I would hate to leave that kind of up to guessing, is this the end or the middle of, you know, exhalation? I don't really think it has to do with that. It really has to do with the temperature differential. So if you see fogging, first of all, try to adjust the fit to not have it. Second of all, ask yourself whether the temperature differential is an issue, because the temperature differential where the air out here is much cooler than the air inside is going to make it much more plausible that the fog is not indicative of leak. So that said, I'm usually able to do this at room temperature without leaking. This mask is, I feel like this mask is a little bit big on me, so. And I am fogging. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you probably can. And I'm fogging an awful lot. Now, is most of that at the end of exhalation? I don't know. I mean, it's certainly never at the beginning, because I think the breath in pulls some of that condensation. And just from all, 30-something years working in operating rooms, I know that if you have your plain old loose surgical mask, which I can't even believe we use those regularly, but certainly if you were fogging with that, if you didn't have a chance yet to adjust it, everybody knows you just take a big deep breath in and it clears all of that fog momentarily. Well, those masks, the condensation was definitely from leaking. There was no temperature differential inside and out because those masks were just too loose to have that. So, I think it's a little more nuanced, and I think it's very difficult to be sure. And I wouldn't be so sure that just because condensation is becoming evident at the end, that means you're not leaking. I would do everything I can to simulate a good fit first. So I believe I am leaking in this one, even though, yes, some warm air is rising. I'm going to try to get a good fit. You guys know that I have an issue with the concavity here under the eyes. Now, the other thing that feels a little bit loose is down here, and I'm not really sure how to fix that, because if I were going to lift this up higher, it would be a little too high, I think, in between my eyes. So don't really feel like wind coming through. I mean, there is an area right here that actually does touch my chin. So then this sort of hangs out. It's not completely open under there, but I guess I just wish this were a little more snug. And I think that's probably where the small comes in. And this again is a medium large. So I kind of think this might be a really good option for people with larger faces. That's better. Yeah, I guess I got a better fit here with this. So you can see there I'm not fogging, not even at the end. So definitely was a sign of leak. So you see how leak can create fog that seems like it's only toward the end of the exhalation. And I believe, just based on all my years of experience wearing masks, that that's because the following inhalation actually serves to clear some of that. It pulls some of that condensation in. I know that's a tough one, and I know that makes that nuanced, and it means that it's going to be hard to determine, are you having condensation that's a result of a temperature differential, or are you leaking? But, you know, life is full of all kinds of things that are nuanced and maybe difficult to determine. And what I'm going to say is I think you should assume you're leaking so that you get the best fit you possibly can with the mask that's best fit for your face. And start by wearing the mask in a setting where there's not that much temperature differential. Certainly the exhalant is warmer than the air in almost any room around you, but I wouldn't try it out first in a very cold room, or do so and then see what the difference is. Yeah, so let me give you my thoughts on this respirator. First of all, I think it is a very nice design for people who are interested in, first of all, not having the mask suck. So something that's more domed and off the mouth and off the nose. This is a very nice option. I do find that the foam is sort of the just right. It's not like such a big, thick piece of foam that it's holding a gap there around the piece of foam. It's nice and conforming. It's also very thin and it's springy to the touch. I think they kind of got the sweet spot with that foam. And I think for larger faces, particularly given that this comes in the small and the medium large, I think for larger faces, this might be one of the better options. So for anybody who has tried it, or if you're going to try it, please be liberal in the comment section. And in particular, I'm interested in hearing how people who have had trouble because they have larger faces, how this works for them. I don't really see myself reaching for this one too much, mostly because I think the size is just not right for me. If I had tried a small, maybe. I just have a lot of good experience for my face shape with the duckbill style respirator. So I find myself reaching for those more often. It's thin enough up in here that I'm able to contour it to this unique problem that I have, which is that concavity under my eyes. This well is very deep. And with something like a duckbill respirator, it's very, very thin, and I'm able to get that to conform so specifically to my shape. This is not something that's going to do that, but I do think that this is something that's going to work well for larger face shapes, and I am trying to do my respirator reviews now with all kinds of individual variations in mind and think what might be good for certain settings and what might be good for certain people. Again, I want to thank the people at Armbrust for giving me an opportunity to try this out. I do think it's a very nice product. And I hope it comes back in stock. And if it does, I hope they will also offer the small, because there are plenty of people who are, smaller who might want this style as well for the reason I just said. It's really off the nose and off the mouth, and it's very comfortable. So yeah, let me know if this was helpful. And until next time, be well. Bye-bye.